Hey everybody, welcome to the Brave Healing Podcast, where we are changing the world one brave word at a time. I am Laura DeFranco, and I am excited to be having a conversation with author and wilderness medicine expert, Susan Purvis today. But you guys, before I introduce her, let me shout out a couple of awesome friends. Miss Stacy Little Deer sent me this beautiful mask the other day. You guys, if you've got to wear a mask, why not wear something beautiful, right? So spiritfireart.com. Stacy, thank you. I bought a butterfly mask and a dragonfly mask, and I love them. And I don't mind wearing masks so much anymore. And I got to shout out my one of my best buddies, Phil Tavalacci, who outfitted me with the best hat ever this year, more fun and less fear. For a brave healer, I think that is awesome. I am on a search for the best video hats, you guys. And so this one is winning the show right now, Phil. Thank you for that. All right, you guys. So let me tell you about Susan Purvis. She saves lives and teaches others to do the same. She's explored the hottest, highest, and coldest places as a writer, explorer, and educator. She owns Crested Butte Outdoors, has taught wilderness medicine to everyone from the Secret Service to Sherpa guides. Purvis's work has appeared in the New York Times, Smithsonian, the BBC, and on Discovery. She is also one of the co-authors of our amazing project going on right now called The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing. It's a book that combines the wisdom and knowledge of 25 healthcare experts to help you heal at home right now. And let me welcome Susan to the show. Hey, girl.
Hey, good morning.
I'm glad you're here. This is really exciting. So talk to me about your expertise in wilderness medicine.
I started dabbling in medicine and wilderness medicine in 1997 when I showed up as a young woman in search of a new career. And immediately I immersed myself in ski area medicine, search and rescue, dog training, and found my way working at a ski clinic. And that's where I got to learn from a lot of different practitioners, both holistic and Western medicine. And I found that there's one way to do, more than one way to do things. And so over the past, 25 years, I've sought out and sought information that helps me heal and helps me teach and heal others.
And you wrote an incredible book about your journey. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my first book that I wrote was a memoir. I trained and deployed a search and rescue dog in the high country of Colorado to save lives in avalanches in the water or lost in the woods. And it took me over 10 years to write that story. And we did save lives.
10 years? It took you 10 years to write that book? Why did it take you so long?
Well, because it became 3 years into the writing process, I had to answer this question. How come it's easier for me to jump out of the side of a helicopter at 13,000 feet with my avalanche dog in my lap to find a dead guy than it is to talk to my husband about our 18-year relationship?
Oh, okay. That's a really good question.
And I'm like, no, now I got to answer that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a big one. All right. I'll give you 10 years for that, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know.
And the publishing process takes a while too.
All right.
But
that part I know about. Yes. That part I know. Everyone
here's what I want to say about this. So in the process of writing that, what I discovered is that I was as lost as anybody I ever found. Oh. And this brings back to my whole chapter in writing for you, is that we can not only get lost in the woods, But we can get lost in a relationship, we can get lost in a business, and we can certainly get lost in our health. And that's what I think you're doing, is bringing awareness. And you can, that the average person can learn how to heal themselves. There's so much information about it that we can begin to heal. And that's why this conversation and connection with you matters to me.
Well, how do you think we get lost in our health in the first place? What's the process? What happens?
Well, I can tell you right now what's happening with me, but we go through cycles in life. Sometimes we're at our high, we feel good, we're fit, we're eating well, we might not be drinking that much, and we move through the world, full of vigor and energy. And then sometimes, because of loss or grief or who knows, COVID, we take these dips. So a year ago, I was really lost in my health. I was fat, out of shape, lazy, from a combination of different things. And one day I woke up and I said, I have to love myself. I quit alcohol. So I've been not drinking alcohol for a year. It was poisoning me. I felt like this flower that was trying to bloom, and the alcohol was just wilting me. And so, that's a brave action. And I knew I was getting lost in my life because I wasn't my normal self. I had to take action because something was wrong. And I had to go figure out why I was chronically fatigued. Was it the alcohol? Was it my eating? Was it my lack of not exercising? Do I have an organ problem?
Yeah. So you're right about using that word brave there. I think, I don't know what the deal is with people having to hit rock bottom with their health before they make a decision to improve it and to switch around and go in the other direction and start to just seek answers. They want to feel better, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that I believe, like you do, we should all learn the basic functions of the body, mind, and soul in grade school. We should be taught about this beautiful vessel that we walk around in from the very start, right? So talk to me about that and why we're not getting that education.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough that in 1998, I found the mentor of my life. And he was a physician assistant, and he had been teaching wilderness medicine, and he was the curriculum director. And he was brilliant. And so I found him at the clinic. He and I worked together, and he started teaching me about medicine, not just treating the symptoms, but how the body actually works. So over the next 7 years, we had a business together. I started to teach structure and function. I mean, I was a gold exploration geologist by training. I mean, like, what do I know? And I swear to God, the light bulbs came on when I understood it's just rudimentary science. And I kept asking, why don't we learn this in the 7th grade? And, the answer is because it's a private curriculum. And I do believe that, the powers that be don't want us to have that knowledge. We've been taught to go see specialists if something's wrong. So we relinquish our power at an early age. And I went, oh my God, you're right. I go to the mechanic when my car breaks. I go to the doctor when my body breaks. So at some point we need to understand this. So over the 25 years I've been teaching, I get 40, 50, 60-year-old people in my class, and they're learning for the first time how their body works.
Wow, yeah.
And they are blown away because even in a 2-day or a 5-day class, they go, oh my God, I never knew that. It's so simple, really.
Yes. The question I keep asking about the books that we're putting out is, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? And we could add on to that about your healing, about your body, about your mind, about your soul, right? And so that's, it's lovely to have a beginner's mind. I love that story that they're learning things at that age,
Yeah, it's super great. Yeah.
So, listen, I challenged you to pick a foundational topic for that book. And so that's hard because you've done a lot of things. You've been a lot of places. You've taught a million different kinds of survival tools. And I think somewhere on your website, you actually call yourself a survivalist. Can you talk to me about that for just a minute?
Right out of college, I was asked to go be a survival instructor in the desert for what we call hoods in the woods. So kids with, you know, they could be super rich or they've been neglected, but they're going to all go to boot camp. And I had enough experience. So we lived off the land for 21 days. We were given a wool blanket and an old poncho, and we trekked through the desert, either in southern Idaho or Arizona, with a peach can for our cooking can.
Wow.
And we had to learn how to make fire with sticks, a bow drill fire, a hand drill, forage off the land, sleep on coal beds. And I tell you what, it was probably the best thing I ever did, because if you can learn, if you can suffer, life is really about the suffer fest and then the great, comfortable moments. I believe in teaching people how to suffer, because then if they can do that, they can do anything.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Incredible experience. I've talked to a couple of people who have had experiences like that. Those are life-changing trips. Really, really amazing. And for you, the people who are guiding the kids too, I'm sure, for everybody, right? The kids and you guys. Okay, so back to this topic that I challenged you to pick, and you wanted to talk about the abdomen and abdominal pain specifically. So Susan, teach us something about what's inside our abdomen. Why is this important?
Yeah, it seems like it's really complex, and this thing, just kind of floats in front of us. But it's important to understand, what's inside. And so my mentor told me there's really three basic things inside your abdomen. And abdomen means hidden in Latin. So doctors don't really know what's wrong with you until they run the blood tests or do CT scans. So it can be complicated, and they're scratching their head. For the purposes of this exercise, I wanted people to know when to put the antennas up or think about, an emergency. But the three basic parts are the solid organs, the hollow organs, and the peritoneum, which is the covering. It's like the stuff sack. And we don't really worry so much about solid organ because they just sort of sit there. They don't have any nerve endings. It's when blood leaks out of the solid organs onto the peritoneum that's a problem. Okay. Hollow organs, their job in life is to move fluid and feces through the intestines. And when you stretch a hollow organ, since they have a lot of nerve endings, it hurts. So sometimes we can't tell the difference between a gas, the beginnings of an infection. It all kind of manifests and looks the same. So when does hollow organ distension or obstruction become a problem? When it starts to affect the peritoneum, the stuff sac. Anything that affects the stuff sac can become a life-threatening medical emergency. So the peritoneum is full of nerve endings. It's smooth and allows our guts to move around, and it doesn't like pus and bacteria and fecal matter on it. So when something starts to leak on the peritoneum, it hurts, and it hurts right where the leakage is. So persistent pain for greater than 24 hours, high pulse rate, high respiratory rate, pale, cool, and clammy, and a fever, those are all signs then of peritonitis, which means you need to go to definitive medical care.
I'm such an anatomy geek. I don't know if you guys can see my little anatomy poster behind me here today, but I love it. I've loved it ever since the beginning, right? So I'm not afraid of the big words and trying to learn, what things mean, but how incredibly powerful it is to have some of that knowledge, right? Especially with what you do and people out in the wilderness, they really need to understand if they need to, get attention. But you talked about this a minute or two ago too. I feel like one of our greatest missions as helpers is to help empower other people to do some of that healing themselves, to do some of that diagnosing themselves. And I just really appreciate that, that you're on that path too, educating people. So thank you. So what do you think is the most important thing for our listeners to understand about their own self-care and healing practice? Any topic, not just the stomach.
Laura, that's a great question. I would say be mindful. Be mindful of how you move. Be mindful of what you eat. I mean, really be mindful of what you put in your guts. I mean, I'm just beginning to talk about the guts. I mean, I have so many more layers to talk about, but that's a huge source of sickness is what we're putting in our body. And so be mindful of everything you do, because all it takes is, you're not paying attention, you do one wrong turn, you break your toe, and now you're held up. It leads to other problems. So slowing down, this is really what I want to say, is slow down and really be mindful. And now with the time of COVID is a great time to just slow down and pay attention and love yourself. Do lots of self-care and love yourself. And this book that we all created is, a kind of a little love story to how to take care of ourselves.
I love that. I don't think I've heard it called that before. Yeah, really important. I was speaking with somebody yesterday who does a podcast called The Mindfulness Mode. So I'm giving you a shout out, Bruce, right now. And I mean, doesn't it really come back to that practice in so many different ways, right? And so your voice is one of those voices that's going to remind people to come back to themselves. I always like to call it bodyfulness. Mindful maybe, but bodyful, right? Sensing, really feeling, really noticing, because that's where the magic happens. So I love also, I'm going to have to steal that and we'll call it a love story.
It is true.
So what turns you on the most about what you do?
Ooh, it's the super connection.
Tell me what is that? What do you mean?
Here, this happened last night. A friend is visiting a friend here in the little town of Whitefish I work in or live in, and I get a phone call and he's like, "Oh my God, Sue, this guy that's visiting me has picked up your book. He won't stop reading it. He's ignoring me, and I told him you live here, and he's like, he wants to come over. He wants you to come over, and he wants to buy a book, and will you sign it and talk about your book?" And I'm like, anybody that wants to talk about my book and my that is what we're trying to do, with our writing and the podcast, is to reach out and talk to people. And so we have to be brave. It's brave of what you're doing, and when we hear back and we learn that we've touched somebody's life, there's no higher reward, really.
Oh man, yeah, I feel that. I'm feeling that one. Yes. I think in the beginning, and maybe you have a word of encouragement for entrepreneurs or authors in the beginning of that journey, when that's not always happening and you're just wondering, right? And you got a lot of crickets going on and you just don't know if people are reading or paying attention or listening. What would you say to them?
Don't quit.
Yeah, of course, right? And that's easy to say, and it's hard to not quit sometimes.
Yes. I do have the answer.
Okay.
You have surround yourself with writers. It's not a solitary event. People think, we're sitting there and locked up in our cabin in the middle of nowhere. No, I reached out to everybody I knew and I'm like, I have to work this. Can I read something to you? What's wrong? What's missing? Get eyes on it. It takes a village for somebody to finish a book.
Yes. Outstanding answer. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's been the difference between, sitting around sort of in my head and making things mean things, and really thriving in terms of bringing my message to the world. So truly appreciate that answer. So what else do you want to tell us about what you're doing in the world right now in terms of, what do people need to know about? Tell me the full title of your book.
My memoir is called Go Find, My Journey to Find the Lost and Myself.
Nice. And you have more than one book?
No, I just have the one book.
Oh, okay. Well, you do now because you're the co-author of The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, right? So we need to keep talking about that one because we're excited about it. Awesome. And people can grab that on Amazon, and they can come find you at susanpurvis.com. I'm going to hook you guys up in the little notes below. So don't forget to scroll down there and check it out. But anything else you want to tell us about what you're up to in the world right now? With all that?
Well, because of COVID, I'm learning how to write screenplays. And so I just entered my first screenplay competition. It was only 2 pages. So you guys, for all your listeners out there, listen, I just entered a 2-page screenplay. Easy peasy. I just wrote a 100-word essay, and guess what? It was in the Sunday New York Times.
Wow.
And now it's going to be in a book coming out in December. I was selected as one of the essays. So you don't have to write 100,000-word book. You can write little things and start sharing them because we all need inspiration.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yay, that is awesome. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't wait to read all of that and see all of that. I know that you will let us know when we can find out about it. Okay, I got one last question for you today. It's one of my favorite questions of all time. It's also one of my favorite writing prompts of all time. And that is, and listen, so no fair answering the stuff that I know you want to answer about being in nature. You have to pick something else that maybe we don't know about you. But what do you love to do so much you lose track of time? Because if you ask a wilderness expert that question, of course, I know what you want to say.
Well, my simple pleasure right now is like totally binge watching some crime show or something. So that's my honest truth.
I'm going to blame that on COVID too, for me a little bit, the whole Netflix binging. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my bad habit.
Okay. Thanks for confessing.
Yeah.
Actually, seriously, Susan, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world and for being here today to share it with us. So you guys, find out more. Please remember, go down to these show notes. I'll hook you up with Susan's website. Don't forget to hop over there after the show. Find out more. Explore this amazing human being and what she's up to and the upcoming screenplay and New York Times stuff. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And thank you so much for joining us, everyone. If you happen to be a holistic practitioner with a message to share, please head down into those show notes and find submissions information about our next Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing co-authored book project. And remember, everybody, your words will change the world when you're brave enough to share them. See you soon, everybody. Bye, Susan. Have a good one.